Happy evening, everyone. Great to see you in the weekly Mind Connect. This is somewhere we connect and we discuss some of the issues and particularly focus on one aspect. So thank you very much. Um, yeah, good evening, good evening. Thank you all for your greetings. Yeah, maybe we'll see a larger audience coming in as we progress through. Still a small number. Never mind, we will start and would love to be on cam. If you can come on cam, that will be good. If you're in a condition where you can open your camera as well. So yeah, thank you very much. Now today, thanks Priyaji, thanks Dr. Rajiv, thanks Sitakanji for your greetings. Yeah, let's get going. So today, as we are getting into the aspect of toxic emotion, which we started last week. If you recall, we had discussion on toxic emotions, and we are going to further on that. We are going to progress on that further with a recall of the past last week as well. Thank you, Caesarji, for your greetings. Yeah, thanks. So let's get on to the PPT, and we will just have a recap of the whole thing before others do join in. So let's get going over there. I think still some people are in the waiting room. No, I think all of them are in. So yeah, yes, if you can come on camera, that would create what we call the mirror, and mirror neuron resonance. So we can resonate better. Yeah, thank you. So let's move on. Now, let me now bring on the screen. Give me a moment. Yeah, let me share my screen and we'll get on to the presentation. Yeah. I hope you can all see the screen. Yeah, now it's on your screen, and on one side of a device you can also see my picture, small picture, and you can also hear my voice. And that's what I need. All okay. Thank you, Sitakanji. Thank you very much. So we are now just having a recap of the session that we had last time, and of course we have a recall so that people who have were not there last time would have a sense of what we discussed. So just for people who are probably there for the first time, the ones who have joined this week or what belonging to the present batch, this is a call which we have every week to interact with one aspect, one aspect of life, our mind and body, and then we discuss detail on that. And during this also we have some discussion towards the end. We will also interact with you after opening up the chat so that we have more clarity about the point that we're discussing. So let's move on with this particular concept, a particular what I said topic. What is on toxic emotions and how to minimize the effects of the toxic emotion? That's what we are going to look at. We had already had a discussion on this last week. This is the kind of a second part because we could cover only part of it. But today we will also have a quick recall of whatever we discussed last time. Last time, if you recall, we had specific practices to manage toxic emotions. That's what we are doing. Having discussed situation selection, discussed attention redeployment, if you remember this, then we discussed partly cognitive reappraisal. These are the three things we discussed. Few things we could not discuss because we kept it for this week. They are appointment with negatives, which is very important, powerful practice we'll share today. Emotional freedom technique. Many of you who are already inside the advanced course, you have gone through many times through this. Energy optimization techniques. There are many energy optimization techniques like Wim Hof technique, by Bellows technique, by humming technique, by putting the energy nodes activation technique. All those we have been doing. Then we also do the QTP, that is quantum transformation process, healing of the emotional nodes. This we do in the morning practices many times, although we do not specifically mention this, but the practices when we do on the day where emotional channelization is the topic, is the theme, is the element of miracle where we are doing the practice, we are doing QTP healing of the specific emotional nodes. So we will also have a quick discussion around these techniques, but let's move on to the past week's discussion, just to have a recall for those who were probably not there last week. So what we discussed last week is the condition of the brain when it is toxic. What are those things which are there? And many of you had responded about this: anxiety, worry, sorrow, anger, fear, restlessness, guilt, shame, maybe disgust, many such things which are disturbing inside. So these things, when they are there in our brain, certain kind of a nervous system is activated, although it is not warranted that you should know it. Anyone, if you remember what we discussed, what is that nervous system called? There is one autonomic nervous system which is activated when we are into these kind of conditions. Quick, anyone can recall that word which is very common to many of us? Something nervous system. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Rajiv. I know you are so, yes, Dr. Rajiv. Thank you so much. It is the sympathetic nervous system, and it is something which keeps us in a fight or flight mode, in a state of what we call survival. And when we get to that state, all we can relate to this: when we are having anxiety, when we are angry, when we are having some sort of fear, we can look at our body. We will see our heart is racing fast, blood is flowing. The blood insulin, rather the blood sugar, would have to increase because we need power to fight or to run away from there. So this is what is happening when we are activating that survival mode by because of these kind of emotions. What does it do? What is that activation? How it is affecting us? By repeatedly activating the sympathetic nervous system, we are getting into a state perennially to be in that condition, which can lead to many physical disturbances. It can enhance our blood sugar forever. It can increase our blood pressure and stress and so many other internal disturbances, internal agitation, aggression. They can be our companion. So what we need to do is to take care of the toxic emotions. That's what we discussed. And why they're there? Why sometimes many of us who have regularity of this, more time, more often we find this? Because they are programmed. We discussed about the programming of the subconscious mind. Yeah, programming of the subconscious mind. What does it mean? That means we have programmed ourselves, conditioned ourselves in a way that naturally they come to us. They are just unconsciously available to us. Unconsciously they are there. We will discuss about this point. There are 4 steps of conditioning which we discussed last time. I think most of you would definitely remember this, but we will also have a quick look at that with the same story that I had narrated last time, to how to condition, decondition. So conditioning is something as if we have mastered the skills of negative emotions. Some of us, we have mastered the skills, the competency to bring in negative emotion, keep our body in that hyperactivated state and hurting our body time and again. Apparently, it feels that I'm always alert, I'm always on the move, I'm very effective in running around doing things, but actually, it is affecting the productivity very adversely. Our effectiveness goes down significantly if we are always in that mode, because the higher brain, it doesn't get a lot of energy. And I had also given you an example of how it is activated. So let's quickly again look at that. Let me look at, yeah, how to reduce the cortisol level. That's the question by Rajiv ji. When in fact, cortisol level is one chemical, cortisol, which goes up when we are activating the sympathetic nervous system. We will talk about that. In fact, all the strategies that we are having for to cope with that kind of scenario, of the toxic emotions are for reducing or activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which can calm the body and mind. Yeah, we'll get there soon. We're just going to go have the recall, and then of course we'll discuss about that part as well. So in that internal subconscious mind, there are a lot many programs which are already been embedded. Programs are there. So now what is happening? It just needs a trigger so that that program can be expressed, immediately expressed. So this triggering and programming mechanism, we had used this diagram to understand. What was it? Let's say, just for simplistic purpose, we discussed that. Let's say the star that we are seeing is the stimulus, the trigger. Here, let's say the trigger is a snake. If there is a snake, immediate activation of the internal system to run away from that place, or maybe if it is too close and we are having a stick, maybe to hit it. For that also, we need a lot of aggression or fear and run away from there. Instantaneously it happens. If you recall last time, we said 1/100th of a second, the entire body is prepared for this. By what? If you can see a very feeble signal, and the signal is in the color purple. Yeah, very feeble signal goes to the bottom part of the brain, goes to the limbic system. There is a system, goes to the further lower bottom deeper part of the brain, immediately activates or immediately could find out what is this and what should be the feeling. If it is snake, immediate quick triggering of all the mechanism inside, activation of all the programs inside, so that you can fight and fly. So this is like a radar. It is a radar system wherein we immediately can activate the internal defense mechanism. In a radar, if you see an enemy aircraft out there, immediately, instantaneously, we are activating, putting alarms on, and all our internal systems will be ready to fight that enemy craft. That's precisely what this system is doing. So it can activate quickly, it can decipher what is this, and quickly it can also activate all the mechanism out there so that we can ready and fight. Very next moment, you realized it's not actually a snake. It's kind of a rope which is lying out there, giving an impression of the snake. So immediately we know that the conscious mind comes to know about that it is a rope, but already these things have been activated. And what we understood last time also, that again to calm down, although now we know that it is a fake alarm, but to calm down, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. So we can all see this. When we are startled by something, we are a little shaken by something happened outside. Immediately the heart rate, in an instant, it goes up. The blood pressure goes up. Everything, we are panicking. But then we come to no, it's nothing. It's just a footstep of somebody who is very friendly. And although we come to know about that friendliness, but it takes a lot of time for the internal body to subside, to calm down. So this is also something which said that most of the time, that means the negative lingers on and the positives, they're very short. They don't live that long. So our normal life is more negatively oriented. Yeah, that's what we discussed last time. So what to do, what we can do? Two things we need to reprogram. One, the dominant programs for the emotions. We have to check. We have, each one of us, we have a dominant program. Somebody is very angry. Many people say, no, I'm very short-tempered. And sometimes they take pride in that. I'm short-tempered. I quickly get the anger and then it goes away. Actually, it doesn't go away. It keeps on hurting you for quite some time. So if you're having that kind of a temperament for short-temperedness, it's better to take care of it. Some people are very afraid. Small things can scare them. There are some people who can become very touchy. Immediately they feel sad. They feel guilty. So we have to figure out what is the program that we have actually conditioned ourselves with, and what is the trigger for it. As I was mentioning also probably last time about Dr. V.S. Ramachandran, who is one of the Indian origin, one of the most revered, regarded scientists in the domain of cognitive neuroscience in the world, he talks something called the salience landscape, or the priority setting for the radar. Priority setting, the radar is the limbic system. There is something called the amygdala, few other organs which moderate, which mediate this system. So the priority setting for the triggers, what are we looking forward to? Many people, have you seen? Many of us, we would be looking forward to some aspect which is not in order. All the time we find why this is like this, why this person is behaving like this, why that thing is like this. It's good at some time, but if you're overtly like that, then it can cause a lot of internal disturbance. All the time, our mind is attracted towards some deficiencies. It's not bad so long as that deficiency is an input for a solution. We'll talk about that in a different session. We had talked about this earlier as well. The problem to solution orientation. We seek problems to find a solution. That's a very different temperament. But here what happens, the problem and the disgust, problem and anger, problem and sadness, if you are searching problems to create or activate that internal program, if that is what we are relying upon, that's what is going to hurt us badly. So we have to change those programs and change the priority setting. We are, by nature, some people will look at what is the bad thing about this person, what is the bad thing about this organization, what is the bad thing about the situation or the environment now. Can we consciously change that? Yes, we can. And if we can change that priority list, which is designed for that radar, we can change, or we can do a lot of good to ourselves. That's one of the ways by which we can change the conditioning. So two conditioning we need to change. One, the input conditioning, two, the response conditioning. So these two dominant programs we can dismantle, and priority list we can reset. So these two things we can do. Priority list means what I'm searching for, or what my radar has been conditioned to look at. Two, what are the programs which have been conditioned over years, for let's say 50 years, 30 years, 20 years. We have conditioned ourselves with that. Can we dismantle and can we change it to more positive? That would help us get to a better state, better quality of life. Yeah. Does it make sense as of now? Quickly, are you getting it, what I'm trying to convey? Just quick responses. Two things. Yes, yes. Rajivji, thank you. Hiralji, thank you. Yes. Sitakanji, yes. Suresh Patnaikji, Dr. Rajiv, Parthapratimji, thank you. Tejashwiji. So yeah, I think most of you were there last week also. Yes, Pranab Raji, thanks. So what we are talking about, two things we need to change. So this is what we discussed last time. Now, I would love to go through this story again. Would you like to hear the story of the 4 states, 4 steps of deconditioning and reconditioning? Would you like to? Just say why. Why means yes, yes. Yeah, doctor. Yes, wonderful. Definitely. Thank you, Tejaswiji. I'll take you through the story again. Yeah, thank you, Sanjayji. Thank you, Partha Pratimji. Thank you. Thank you. So what we're going to go through now is a story, and we will understand the 4 steps of conditioning and deconditioning and reconditioning, how we have been conditioned. And if you want to dismantle that conditioning and recondition ourselves with new programs, what are the steps that we need to follow? And from there, we'll move on to practical application of how to change. What are the steps? What are the techniques for emotional change, toxic emotions, how to handle? So here is the story. I'm talking about a human being. He's a person who lives in the remote part of this planet. Remote means far from the modern society. Maybe a very primitive island, or an island where a very primitive tribe resides. And this person is there. He's one of the persons, one of the tribes out there, very intelligent. But so primitive is this tribe, is they have absolutely no idea about any modern development. They do not know what's a mobile phone. Forget about a mobile phone. They do not know about what is a cycle. Even they do not have any clue about a wheel. So such a primitive tribe, wheel is something which is not known to them. Now in this tribe, that intelligent gentleman, can he ever imagine an experience called driving a car. Would it be a possibility? Never had ever thought of a will. Would it be a possibility for this gentleman to think about an experience called driving a car? Would it be a possibility? Yes or no? No. Yes, Tejaswiji. It's very, very improbable that a person having no clue about will would have an experience or feel about an experience, imagine about an experience called driving a car. So very, very improbable. There is a probability. We are not talking about that. It is something very, very unique and very, very different. It's maybe very few occasions we can see like that. Like Einstein discovering the what you call the theory of relativity. Very difficult to explain how that can be an experience imagined. So anyway, but this is very, very improbable kind of thing. So this gentleman would definitely not be in a position to imagine an experience called driving. But that doesn't mean that driving as an experience doesn't exist. It does exist. But this gentleman has neither got the experience nor he got the knowledge about the experience so that he can imagine. This condition we call an unconscious inexperience. Many of us, we are also unconscious about an internal state of being experience, a blissful, perennial blissful state of experience. And we never imagine that because we never had the glimpse of it, neither we have heard of it, neither we can think about that. So it's a state called unconscious inexperience. No experience, neither we are aware of such a thing can exist. Driving, we do not know, so it doesn't exist. So unconscious, unknown, and inexperienced. Now, I was giving that example. You had been to that island and you found him very interesting, that gentleman who is intelligent, yet in a primitive island. So you made friendship with him and asked him to come with you, let's say to Mumbai, and see the modern development that has happened. He's completely, thoroughly flabbergasted, zapped and zoomed, seeing all these things, tall buildings and so many things happening, many, many happening areas. And he also sees something people drive, maybe he doesn't know what's the name of it, but he knows that something which people are maneuvering and taking it on beautiful roads of Mumbai. Maybe you are taking him alongside and you are driving him along. Now, this gentleman has the idea. He now knows, yes, something like this is existing. So he has the awareness of this existence, but still he's not experienced, inexperienced. So he can imagine this. Oh, this is a kind of thing, and this would be a kind of feeling I would get if I drive such a, or if I have this and drive it, have a steering wheel and change this and gear and accelerator, clutch and brake, and this would run like this. This would be kind of experience that may have. So this is the second step. When we are sort of aware of certain things, but still we have not experienced. Many of us probably are in this realm. We know we can have a better quality of life, but because of certain things, we know certain things, we know about how it can be happened, but we have not brought that to our life. We are aware, but not brought that to life. Precisely what we have done, knowledgeable about what is some traps that we have, human trap, miracle formula is there, but we have not yet put it to ourselves to come out of that toxic emotions. We are somewhere we know that yes, it's a possibility. Now this is where there is a consciousness and awareness, but still has not been experienced, right? Now we are going to the third stage, the same individual who has now a very internal urge to drive the car. Can he drive? Yeah, can this person drive the car? Absolutely he can, but what he needs to do? What is the thing that he needs to do so that he can drive the car? What he has to do so that he can drive the car? He has to learn it, absolutely, Sanjay. Experience it, learn it. He has to learn, and learning is the process he has to go through. Now, this is where we are coming to our experience, the learning experience. What is that one thing which is common to the entire humanity? Everyone goes through that experience, when we are going for the first time, we are going to the seat of the car, sitting on it, driving seat, and steering wheel in our hand, about to drive. What is the feeling that's going on? What is happening inside? What is that is happening? If you recall, we discussed last time, one thing which is common to entire human race when we are going into the car. What is the feeling that we'll get first time getting into the car, about to drive, to learn the car? What is it? That one thing which is so common. Fear, yes, fear is there. Fear of failure, yes, Sanjay ji, Rangaratnam ji. Yes, fear is, but not necessarily. Some people are too courageous. They may have excitement. Some people may have some kind of anxiety. Some people may have happiness. Yes, I'm going to learn something new. Alertness, yes, alertness is the word I would take. Something which is extremely, in fact, it's the only common thing, is we are absolutely available for that experience. We are very conscious. When I say conscious, our conscious mind is engaged in a dialogue with the subconscious mind at that moment. What is the dialogue? It's talking, now you have to press the clutch. This is called gear. You have to change the gear, then release the clutch and push the accelerator. See, each one of these elementary programs. What are the elementary programs? Movement of the hand, movement of the leg is some elementary program. We know how to move the gear by doing this and this, how to press the clutch by putting the pedal or foot on the clutch pedal and the accelerator pedal. So we know what are those elementary programs. So we are saying these elementary programs you have to do. We are telling our subconscious, this is what you have to do. While doing this, you are going to do this. While releasing the clutch, you have to push the accelerator. All these things are elementary program now reorganized. And we are absolutely conscious, talking to the subconscious as if an internal dialogue is happening. We call this state as the conscious experience. We are consciously experiencing this. Precisely, this is what we are doing every day in our practice. Every morning or afternoon, evening, whenever we are doing the practice, we are doing this. We are still doing it consciously. And let me tell you, I am not satisfied with that. It's not during when we are doing meditation or doing our practice, we are just calm and composed at that point. What we are more interested in is the next state. What is the next state? Initially, let's come back to the same example of driving. When we are driving the car for the first time, where we are doing it? In a field, open field, or a road where there is not much of traffic. We can drive it with less safety hazard. Because there is not much of traffic, complexity is less, we can drive. But that's not the idea. We have to drive it on real road. When there are a lot of traffic out there, we have to learn, or we have to drive out there. So now, this gentleman, again going back to the same story, this gentleman from the primitive island, he now says, this is a fabulous, now he started learning. He said, this is wonderful. I will not go back to that primitive island. Let me stay out here, enjoy this wonderful city, and become a taxi driver out here. Now he prefers to be a taxi driver and takes, hires a car or takes it on rent or something, or become an employee of some travel agent. Now he is driving for the last 3 years. When he is driving for the last 3 years, now, after 3 years, is he thinking about what is clutch, accelerator, brake, and steering wheel? Absolutely not. It's just happening. He can take a mobile call, he can look at the posters, he can talk to somebody, and at the same time, he can drive the car. Because what has happened now is, it has become an unconscious experience. Precisely how we have made unconscious experience of negativity. Many of us, we experience those kind of things. The programs are there, they're just opening up. They're coming out. The conditioning may be because of many reasons. It may be a change in the internal networks for some pathological, physiological reason. It may be practiced over and over again for last so many years. So these conditionings are to be broken, are to be dismantled if you want to come out of them. Similarly, if you want to recondition, we have to practice over and over again, as we are doing every morning, giving a very strong suggestion to ourselves that this is what we are, and not just stopping out there. As we conclude all the day, we are saying, resolve that when we go out to the office, when we are working in the kitchen, when we are talking to a client, when we are interacting with the boss, interacting with the family, we have to bring that state on. So we need to remember that state of being and express that state of being. That's what we have been doing. And it's not just practicing in a very secured, safe environment. We have to go onto the road and practice the car driving in the traffic. And we have to do that. That's the idea. It's not about, meditation is not the final outcome. Meditation, of course, there are different people who have a final outcome of meditation. That's like not driving the car. Oh, you have to take a rocket. So we are not talking about that. We are not going to become monks. What we are doing here is we have to bring that stillness, that inner composure in the battlefield. Like Krishna is saying, Arjuna, you need not go to the Himalayas. That's not going to help you. You have to now do this in the battlefield itself. You have to bring that composure. I was mentioning about one of the monks I discussed. In fact, it's a very funny story. Funny thing happened with me. So the funny thing is, I was traveling, and in fact, I had an interaction with a monk who was not happy. When I actually talked to him, he was not happy, although he had left home. And so he said, no, I'm not satisfied. Then he said, do you have idea why I'm not, although I'm doing all the practices and all? I just asked him, was the choice of becoming a monk to come out of misery, or you are already happy and you wanted to become the monk? He said, no, it was to come out of the misery. It's horrible inside the samsara. I said, then that's not the way. Monks who want to become elevated, they should, after having everything in the samsara, they don't need it, so they come out. That's a different ball game. Now you have, you know how to drive a car. Now you want to fly the rocket. So that's a different game. If you are already unhappy and just think that Himalayas is a better place to be happy, it's a fallacy. It's not going to. It's a myth. So you have to be happy here out. You have to learn tricks and techniques to be happy out here. So yeah, let's so this is what we are going to do. Does this make sense? Do you see the interesting thing out there? I can see Madhubani is writing that I was driving without holding the steering. Amazing. That's great. Again, to practice that, you need a lot of practice. You have to make it a conscious experience. You have to have. I don't know whether you can do it all the time, but yes, people do magical things. But how much of practice? How much of practice they do? There is a concept called 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours. Please, you just find it out. There is a book on this as well. Just forgetting the name of the author. 10,000 hours. And people who are there, they can find it out, and we can share it on our WhatsApp group. We all can learn that book. Interesting book. It talks about how the exceptional people, they become exceptional. We can become exceptional like practicing more and more and more. So yeah, right. So great. So does it make sense now? Are you getting what I'm intending to hint at? My hint is that let us dismantle the old habits of being in the negative territory, being in the toxic emotion space. Change that program. It's a program which is putting us in that toxicity. Let's come out of it. Yes, thank you. Makes sense. Yes, thank you so much. We are in the recall mode. I thought we will take some time to recall. It's worth it recalling once again. And yeah, I could never get over my fear and driving and swimming. Okay. Lataji is saying I could never come out of that. Many, it's not only you, but yes, we can come out of any fear of driving. It needs some more time. We'll talk about that. Even swimming, I have seen extreme fear for people, and still they do it, but it needs a lot of resolve, a lot of self-challenge, what we call it. And quickly, the 3 steps, I hope all of us are aware of this. We go to the first step, like connecting with the elephant, alpha state. M is for alpha state. We calm down ourselves. And as I have been talking, that how quickly the measure or metric for our proficiency of getting to the alpha state is how quickly we can get to the alpha state. ABCD is a practice, it takes about 5-6 minutes, but can we practice so much that quickly, the moment I want, I can get to the alpha state. Quickly I can connect, can relax. That's one of the measurement of our progress. The second progress or measurement of our progress is how long we can stay in the alpha state. If I have gone there, can I stay there for a long time? I just be in that state without distraction. That's the second measure of this. Third measure is when you are in a chaotic state, can we quickly invoke the alpha state? That means there is a state of fight, altercation, some discussion heated up. You know that it's something meaningless happening out there. Can you quickly come back, get to the alpha state, rest your mind, calm down, and then come back? You need to go to the active state, but can you do that in the midst of a fight, midst of a disturbance? So in the midst of our life, can we get to the alpha state, bring it on to ourselves? That's another, it's probably a higher order thing that we can do. Then the Q, the reprogramming of the identity, that's what we do with using the quantum practice that we do in the morning. We are reprogramming ourselves, saying that I am not this small being. I'm always secured, safe, and always having the access to that incredible energy and consciousness. And then we are talking about how we are making ourselves comfortable in all these territories, because the source of, where is the source of toxic emotion? It is in the human trap. Source of toxic emotion is the programs which are from the human trap buried in the subconscious. And broadly, they come from relationship, they come from outcomes, they come from responsibilities, our overwhelming responsibility, so much of task given to us, our bodily feeling and mind feeling. So these are the areas where we have to work on to remove toxicity. Yeah, to remove the toxicity. That's what we are doing. Now, coming to the techniques. Let's talk about the techniques. Quick, I'll not elaborate in each of these techniques. I will give you the recall, but you can also understand. Situation selection, where we are looking at what is the situation which is pushing us to the negative territory of the toxic emotions. What is that situation? There can be two situations. One, it is related to the time. Related to the time. Get up early in the morning. In the morning, you feel toxicity, get toxicity. Second, there is a trigger. I know people, one of my students out here is already in this group. She has a problem. The moment somebody talks at a little raised voice, she gets a panic attack. Immediately she starts shivering and sometimes it goes out of control for her. Another gentleman who had a terrible problem, is having a lot of problem. The moment he is into the boss's chamber, this is very unfortunate. He cannot speak, his throats start choking. So the situation, we have to find out which is that situation. We also know some people, their presence itself can create a situation that can create anger, that can create disgust. So we have to see what is that situation which is leading to this toxic emotion. That's one. Yeah. Stage fear. Yeah. Yes. People who go to stage immediately start, many, in fact, you're not alone. I think that's one of the most feared thing in the entire population. So we have to see what is that situation which is leading to this kind of thing that we need to identify. And we have people who have gone through the first week. We have self-audit where you need to identify those situations. We are triggering these emotions. And first thing is, can we avoid them? If yes, then avoid them. First thing, avoid those situations which we can avoid. If it is just an argument, on whether this is good or that is good, this player is good or that player is good, this political party is good or the other political party is good. And then finally we end up fighting and cannot have a good night's sleep. Better not to get into that kind of a discussion. It gives a lot of, lot of interesting charging up and fighting. Sounds good at that point in time, but please do avoid them, because it can create later on a lot of problems. Morning, get up and watch the television and see the most of the negative things, they will come over there. They find out negative for us. Reason, our mind is negatively oriented and mind attracts negative. It wants to see what has happened, wrong things happen. So in morning, if you can avoid negative news, especially all news channels, they have a strategy to bring up some negative things, which will help us which help them getting better TRP. So avoid those situations. That's what is situation selection and avoidance. Attention redeployment, we talked about it last time, wherein we change our attention. If it is some extreme things happening, you can just, like, let's say, I was giving an example because India had lost a match that day. So what to do? It has already happened. Can we change our attention? Go and read a book, go for a movie, do something. I'm just giving example, or watch something else. That's extreme deployment or redeployment. But the best redeployments are when we bring our attention to our body, watch ourselves saying, oh, I'm now in a negative, sad state. What is happening in my heart? What is the feelings that I'm getting? What we can find out is our body has certain feeling to reflect the negative emotions, certain sensations. We can feel some fluttering in our stomach. We can feel some intestinal disturbance. We can feel some pain on our different part, maybe typically on the shoulder or the neck. We can feel some kind of throbbing or heaviness in heart, especially when you are sad. So whenever we are getting into this kind of an emotion, one of the attention redeployment is we can bring our attention to our body sensation and to the breath, because breath has a pattern for every emotion and we can learn it for ourselves. My emotions, how the pattern of breath changes. So in a way, we bring our attention to that. This is actually a powerful technique. And if you have gone, many of you who have gone through the first week and completed the book recommended in the first week itself, Man's Search for Meaning of Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl, when he was in that concentration camp in 1940s, after being captured, being a doctor, doing great, and suddenly he was nowhere. He was captured, no proper clothes to wear, and was traumatic condition. Then he chose something great, changing the attention to what? Becoming an object in his own experiment. So he said, now I become my subject, rather a subject in his own experiment. He said, now let me look at when somebody is shouting at me, what's happening in me. So this I can learn through this traumatic condition. And he became an exceptional person. So this is what we can do. Redeploying our attention from that situation to something inside, to something different. This is a powerful technique. We can do that, attention redeployment. Third one, I talked about this cognitive reappraisal. If you recall a story, this cognitive reappraisal means we have certain tendency to certain kind of situation. Like I was mentioning about my friend who used to be very aggressive whenever there is somebody on the road who do some kind of driving error and can cause a disturbance to him. He would get up and he would actually, he has a couple of times he had slapped other people, road race, So once it happened that somebody actually made him hit, his car was hit by a bike. And then after some time, he found that person falling down. He was feeling like hitting that person. Why that he's driving like this? And when he reached and about to hit that person, he cried and said, you can do whatever you want to do with me, but please help me get to the hospital as quickly as possible, because my daughter is struggling for her life because she is having dengue. I do not know whether I'm going to see her alive or not. Her platelet levels are maybe less than 10,000. Just want to reach there. I'm carrying the those blood to just help her to leave life. I don't know whether she'll be alive for this or not. Just help me. And the entire perspective of this gentleman changed in a flash. And he promised that time, next time around, I see somebody driving rash, even hitting my vehicle, I'm not going to lose my temper, because this can be something in the background. This is changing the story about that particular situation, that particular thing which has potential to trigger negative emotions in me. It's true or false? Don't know. On the road, somebody does something, it can be anything. He may be a careless guy, but you are hurting yourself in the process. What we are doing here is we are creating a state of composure inside. Then we can protest, but not hurting ourselves. Being in the state of calm, we are far more powerful. How many of you have seen the video I had shared in the morning? The elephant, when it is attacking that gentleman, what calmness. Anyone who has seen that? I have shared in almost all the groups. The elephant is attacking. Yes, Sitakanji, yes, Rajivji, yes, Rekhaji. What calmness. And the elephant goes back. So the composure, calmness has that kind of power. It's not just one experiment. So many experiments we have seen. It's an amazing video. I found it and immediately I thought, why not share this? This is also an expression of the mirror neuron and internal, what we say, it's much more things are conveyed than the communication than to others. Yeah, the elephants can sense that. So yeah, you can see that video, Patnaikji. It is a great video. It's true example. Yes, Parth Pratimji. So it shows that we can with that composure, we can change the internal system, and we can achieve extraordinary things. Yeah. So cognitive reappraisal is about that. It's about that changing the story so that internal harmony is brought. Let me tell you one more story. It's not a story I have experienced. In fact, when I narrated this story about the gentleman who had that road rash, road aggression, one of my workshops, another gentleman, he said, I have similar kind of an experience. And he said, narrated this. The experience was like this. He said, I used to drive every day to my office. And while going to office, I normally drop my son in the school. It's on the way. So he would go every day. And on a certain day, on a particular day, he was pretty late. And he was going to office, getting late, even getting late for the school. And suddenly there was a red light. Now there is a red light on, and there is an auto rickshaw which is standing just in front of him. Now red light is there. Red light turned green. But look at that. The auto rickshaw is not going to start. He is stuck because the auto rickshaw is not moving. And what's the reason? The reason is a couple of guys from a distance are coming to board that auto rickshaw. Two persons are coming from a distance, and the auto rickshaw deliberately delaying the process of starting its rickshaw. And by that time, the green light again turned red. And this man, the man who was narrating the story, was furious. He was so furious, he started shouting from inside, opening the glass and started shouting at that auto rickshaw. Suddenly something amazing happened. The little kid, he was in class 6, a small boy, he said, Papa, ye bhi to ho sakta hai. This can be a possibility that these two persons who are coming and boarding this auto rickshaw will give him maybe about 20 rupees or 30 rupees. This may be a possibility that these 20 rupees can be the next meal for this auto rickshaws or driver's children. Who knows? He may be such a poor guy, not earned anything. This 20 rupees can be the next bread for the children of this auto rickshaw driver. And this man, he got shocked by this answer by the little kid. He said, I hugged him. He said, you changed me entirely. Because this is a possibility. We don't know. That auto rickshaw driver may be a rich man, but the possibility is, it's very much possible that 20 rupees means so much for him. The moment he thought this, the anger turned into compassion. So this is cognitive reappraisal. Do you see that? Can you feel this? What a powerful story. Just a small thing by a small kid can change our internal state of being. It's not we are compromising, we are accepting, and maybe then we'll be in a better position to change somebody. Our response will be far more better. Can you see that? This is inspiring. This is very high level of thought. So can we all write inspiring? This is indeed, I'm also feeling inspired. Such a small kid can think in that line, that level. Yes, absolutely. So here is what we call, yes, inspiring. Thank you, Hiralji, thank you, Lataji, thank you. Yes, great, Rangathamji. So what we are talking about here is change the story which can change your emotion. Specifically, you can find out. For this, you have to create stories. We'll talk about, maybe we'll particularly create a small session on this, how to create some stories. And we can take your individual specific emotion and the situation, and we will, maybe let's do it like a workshop sometime soon. Individual situation and the emotions, and then we'll work out. Collectively, we'll sit down and do this, how we can address that emotion. Let's plan. I'll soon announce such a workshop. That will be fascinating. All of us, we can maybe in a Google form, we can get the emotions and the situation, then we can have a story and discuss about that and look at how, or we can use multiple strategy, how to overcome that situation. Does that sound good? If that sounds good, yes, we will do it. Is it looking good? We will do the one thing. I'll be sharing one Google sheet, Google form, wherein you may not give your name if you feel that's little confidential. Yes, Cesar, thank you. So what we do, we take emotion, let's say anger, anxiety, fear, whatever, and the situation which is causing this, then we will figure out what should be the strategy to handle that kind of a situation, to come out of it. Multiple, maybe cognitive reappraisal, attention redeployment. For each, we will discuss. That will be nice. I think this idea came to me, just coming to me. So thank you for, if you think that will be beneficial. Yes, Hiralji, thank you. Sitakanji, thank you. Let's do it very soon. Maybe we'll take some time, couple of next week, we can plan such a workshop. So great. So let's come to the next. I think today also we are little dragging on. No issues. We will finish it, maybe taking 10 more minutes, and then continue with the next week as well. Complete it. Appointment with the negative is a powerful practice. It's a practice. Let me tell you again. Maybe I'm in a mood to tell you some stories or examples, metaphor. This metaphor would help you understand what I'm meaning by this. Appointment with negatives. The metaphor goes like this. There is a lady who has got a small house, and a small piece of land where she can grow some vegetables, some flowers, some fruits, small gardens she can develop. And she develops once. Beautiful garden, small piece of land, and beautiful garden. She started having good flowers, fruits, and small plants. And one fine morning or evening, she comes out and she's totally shocked to see that small children, they have come and they have played around there and spoiled the garden. It's completely devastated. And she was also devastated by this. She was so upset with it. She shouted at all the children. They went away. And then what she did, she said, no, I'll come back. I'll resolve and do it again. She again started doing all those things, cultivating, and again grown the plant. Again, after a few days, kids came and they played around there and spoiled the garden. And this happened a few times. And she was so shocked, and she was so depressed because of this, that she could not even speak. She was into a deep depression kind of thing, because this happened so many times and she had nothing else to do. And her father heard about her plight. He just came down to his place saying that, what happened? Why are you so depressed? What caused this depression? And she said, look at this. So many times, 4 or 5 times, I tried to develop the small garden, and these useless kids, they don't understand the value of this. They're coming and jumping around and spoiling my entire garden. This I cannot tolerate. I'm now feeling so disgusted about it. Now the father said something which shocked her. Father said, you are very impractical. Now this lady said, have you come to console me or to give me this kind of a firing that I'm impractical? What is impractical about it? The father said, were you a kid some point in time in your life? She said, yes. Were you playing and doing some naughty things? She said, yes, I was. But not this. He said, you were doing something. She said, yes, I was doing something. Father said, yes, I was also doing something like this. So the nature of children is this. They will come and they play around. They will do these kind of things. That is their nature. They're like that only. Then the lady said, then what should I do? Should I stop all this? The father said, no, call the children, invite them and tell them that I am going to give you portion of my land to play. You play around there, but don't disturb my garden. Don't spoil my garden. Just talk to them once. This lady called the children, offered them some toffees and said, will you do one thing? I will give a portion of the land. You play as much as you can out there, but don't disturb my beautiful garden, the flowers and the fruits. And this happened, this continued, both enjoyed. Precisely, this is a story far from the mind's garden, but precisely that's what is appointment with negatives. Let's practice this from tomorrow. Appointment with negative is not suppressing or crying about negative thoughts coming to my mind, but giving space to negative thoughts because they are needed at times. It is about giving the space to the children. Thoughts or negative thoughts, their job is to create disturbance inside. Like the children, their job is to create all this havoc, come and jump and do all this naughty play. Negative thoughts have that in our mind. So what we are doing here is fix a time for negative emotion. This takes some time to actually absorb and actually practice. Fix a time, but not in the morning. Sometimes either afternoon or little after the evening time, maybe 7:30. Just 15-20 minutes time. Appointment with negative, that all the negative ideas, thoughts that come to my mind, emotions that come to my mind, I will face them head on. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to see, is there a reality in them or not? I want to see them. I want to talk to them. So what about the next rest of the time? They will come. Yes, they have the passport to come. The only thing that you have to practice is you will tell every time you are getting a negative thought, negative emotions coming, you said, I have a clear-cut identified time to handle this. Can this wait for that time? Initially, it sounds so childish, sounds so impractical, but it's powerful. Fix a time because negatives are required. Let me tell you, let me re-emphasize. We cannot eliminate them. If negatives are not there, we will not go for insurance. We will not do planning for our savings and future. We are not going to have sufficient money for our security. We have to have them. But here we are having an appointment by jotting down all those things, by taking down what are those negatives from the situation selection. These are the negative thoughts, emotions bothering me. I have a clear-cut identified time for negatives. I will sit down, calm, composed, find out what are the negatives, let them come. In fact, the very next practice that I'm going to show you, you will find an element out there also. We do it when we are doing that practice. But does it make sense? I'm not sure whether you will appreciate this at this point, but yeah, that's what already Suresh Patnaik ji is writing. How can I fix an appointment? Emotion is spontaneous with real-time situation. Absolutely, absolutely. Great question here. I was expecting this. What you need to do, don't play around with anything that is happening now. Just fix an appointment. That every day, initially you will say that every day I'll have from 7 or maybe say 4:30 to 5. I have a time for an appointment with negative. That's it. You'll do that. Every time you're going through some negative situation, even if somebody is shouted at you or somebody criticized you, you say, okay, I'm feeling bad. I will handle this. I will talk to this. I'll discuss, thrash out this issue in the evening, let's say at 7:30 to 8, if that is the time you have fixed. So that's the time when I'm going to sit down and thrash out this issue. Now it is coming. I'll just ask it not to disturb me right now, but if it comes, it comes. You have to do this practice few times. And then literally in the evening, you'll say, today my boss said this, the other client said this, I was really upset. And let me look at that. What happened? I'm actually talking to that. I'm invoking that, calling that negative thing to me. I will see that negative. What were the feeling coming to me? Why I felt bad about it. Slowly you'll find what I have seen. Some people, they practice this. Slowly you will find the negatives are not available for you, so that what you'll do, you will not have it every day, you will have it every alternate day. Slowly you will have it once in a week. Just do practice and see the power of this. The reason, the moment we are conscious mind is coming to see something directly and with a purpose, that existence doesn't exist for long. That negativity, it can go away. Don't do it before bed, please. Yeah, that's a good question by Stakanji. Not before bed, not after getting up early in the morning. You have to schedule it something, sometimes when you are already little alert, and that time is not your time for exercise or not your time when you want to calm down your mind for sleep, when you want to bring down the energy, because negative needs a little high energy. Morning time, your energy gathering time. Evening time, your energy actually has to subside so that you can sleep. If you think about this, it may disturb your sleep. So you have to do at some time when you can bring in energy and do it. I'm saying do it with a calm state. In fact, when we start this, we can come to the E state by ABCD practice, then say, number one, today this is what happened. Tomorrow this may happen. I'm afraid because tomorrow there is a presentation. Bring it on and do it right there. So do this practice, you'll see the power. Once you practice this, it's really powerful. What about facing relationship issues at home? Bring that also during that time. But when it is relationship issues and you are going through a turmoil simultaneously, it needs a different approach, because it's a dynamic kind of a thing. Yes, this you can do. Other than that, in fact, you can feel negative during the day, no problem, but have the appointment slot. Slowly you'll find that time or that thing will come to the appointment. Slowly, you'll, after maybe a couple of weeks, you'll find, okay, time is there. That time I'll think about this. Now let me change my thought and emotion. Yes, relationship issues also, you can bring it, unless you are having a quarrel at that point in time. Difficult. If you're having a conflict at that point in time, then that's a difficulty. These specific issues, yes, we can definitely discuss. Maybe tomorrow's call, we can discuss it. Tomorrow we have the what we call the consulting session. We can share that, and till tomorrow 1 p.m. we can share it. We'll do for this what exactly is the issue, but this also can be handled using the appointment with negatives. At least the power of it will come down. Yeah. Next one. Oh, it's already 8. Quickly, emotional freedom technique. I'm not going to elaborate too much on this, because we many of us who are there inside, they have gone through this. The recordings, I think multiple times we have done this. What I was saying, negative appointment with negative, is the first tap. The first tap point is actually to bring surface the negative. If you recall, when we're tapping this point, we are surfacing, invoking the negative feelings first. We're saying, I want to face that negativity. I want to see that negativity is there. Then I'm going to accept it. Then say that in spite of having this negative, I love myself. I am contented and complete within me, because I have that incredible source of energy and consciousness. So, but first we're bringing it on. First round, when we go through those 9 different points, we are also saying that I can see this negativity in me. I observe that happening to me. I feel difficult feelings within. So we are bringing that negative, surfacing that negative when we are doing the first point. So emotional freedom technique is a technique which helps us overcome. These are primarily preventive measures. We are not doing right at that time, although in case of anxiety, I suggest some people to go for this, knowing their temperament. I say that go for this, and it works. When you are in anxiety, in that action stacking space, I say do this, and some people, they find benefit on this. I've already seen at least 3 people who are having this, they're saying, yes, we're getting benefit. When in the third A, the 4A technique, third A, I say go for one round of EFT, and they say, yes, it is working. Yeah. Energy optimization technique. These are primarily kind of energy flow techniques. We do different kind of pranayama. Pranayama are, they are falling in this part. Let's say typically the Kapalabhati pranayama, or we are doing the Bhastrika pranayama, Wim Hof practice, the bellows and the hold practice, and even the Anulom Vilom practice. These are primarily to organize the internal thing. And if you recall, there is a thymus hum practice we did, throat practice. There are certain practices on we using the breath and the bodily points, which are these energy optimization techniques, even the humming practice. Now moving on to the last practice. Sorry, something happened. So the last practice we call the quantum transformation process, healing emotional nodes. Not going to elaborate much. We have been doing it in the morning session many times. Specific nodes like the lower abdomen area. Emotions, they affect. And as we all know that a number of neurons after the central nervous system, number of neurons, the next is in the intestinal area. So there is a lot of connect. If we can heal that part using the QTP, quantum transformation processes, what we are doing many times during the emotional channelization practice, it helps a lot, soothing that, healing that. We do at the chest, especially for sadness, sorrow, and the throat, sadness, sorrow, fear, and expression abilities, anxieties, thymus area, anxiety. So these are few points when we go using 3 different tools. Visualization, we are using the deep affirmation, the kind of deep affirmation all we go in the morning session, and we are remembering that internal bodily feeling, the kinesthetic anchoring, and we are seeing a change happening, a glow of light healing that part. That has a recurring powerful process or power on removing many of our emotional blockages. So that again is a preventive measure, and it works very fast, very fast. Does it, how many of you have got some benefit out of this, especially the last one which you have been doing, EFT we have been doing? If you can just mention, of course we are through with it. I'm just giving a quick glance of the QTP, because I mentioned about QTP. We go to the E state, realize the inner source as we are doing every morning, feel the nature of energy, feel the consciousness, then we are anchoring to our state of being. Then we are doing the QTP practice to heal different points. So quickly, if we can see, let me stop sharing. Yeah, just let me stop sharing. And looking at some people who are actually getting some benefit, we can just take 5 more minutes to hear about it. The recall was too long probably today, so but it was needed. I thought I'll give a recall which will be of help to all of us. So anyone who would like to speak out, you can see Suresh Patnaik is getting benefited from QTP. Great, thank you. You have been so regular and so sincere all through. I'm really my gratitude to you. Caesar Ji just joined. Thank you, Caesar Ji, for you've already started so intense practice. I'm benefited. Sitakanji has already been there. So just let me allow everyone to speak out, but one by one after the other, because time is less. I'm just opening the chat for anyone who wants to speak and share some thoughts which can be of help to all of us. Anyone who would like to unmute and speak? I've just put it on open mic mode. If you have a query also, please put that query. Any query, any feeling, anything that you'd like to share, anything that helped you, or anything which is a doubt for you. Yeah. Yeah, Parthapratimji. Right.
Sir, here Rekha is here.
Yeah. I think Parthapratimji just started. I'll just come back to ma'am.
Okay, sir.
Right, Parthapratimji.
Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Mm.
Actually, I think the you have nicely explained. We have also very gone deep into.
Right,
I think actually to getting the cream out of our mind exercise.
right.
If you have if you kindly Rekhaji, I think your mic is or anybody's.
Just can you repeat? I just missed the just the,
And actually, sir, in between the somebody's mic maybe
okay,
on.
okay. Let me just put others on mute mode. Just give me a moment. Just give me a moment so that I can just unmute you and right. You can speak now. Yeah, I've asked you to unmute.
Yeah, sir. Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, now clear. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Sir, as I think if you can take a online first, think of this way. This is my planning. This
Mhm.
specific this workshop as you are planning
Yeah.
for in a bigger pattern. It may be in your pipeline, but
Mhm.
for because you know, sir, we are very lethargic by nature. Please,
Mm.
please accept my comment. I am with due regards to everyone, sir. I am not generalizing one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Pardon my all my senior mentors and here. But
Right.
sir, just to getting slowing before getting slowing down your the thoughts and the learning. Sir,
Mhm.
give a very little exercise as a thought process so
Mhm.
that all these one or two can be very
Yeah.
warm up this thing for
Mhm.
the big workshop. Sir, am I
Okay.
making sense?
Yeah, yeah,
Am I
got it.
making
So you want smaller chunks of things, then we get to the big
yeah.
version. Yeah, we'll.
One is given by you, and
Mhm.
one is absolutely innovative from our side.
Okay, okay. We'll do that. We'll do that in the morning in the practice sessions. Let's start with the practice session where we'll just take your inputs and start the one practice and then build on that to have the workshop.
Fine,
Yeah.
fine, sir. And at least give sir at least 7 days before so that
Sure,
we
sure.
can give our
We'll take 2 weeks before we come up with that kind of a workshop where
we can give our
we'll make it very effective so that we can change some aspect of ours using that. Yeah.
thank you very much, sir. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Partha. Yeah. I can now ask Rekha ma'am to unmute and
Hello, good evening,
yeah,
sir.
yeah. Good
So
evening. Good
my,
evening. Rajesh. Yeah.
sir, my doubt is
Mhm.
that, yeah, earlier you were telling about that driving, who doesn't know even doesn't see the car and all,
Right.
he can also drive like that, something like that. You were telling all the things. I am telling that this may be of his earlier birth. Do you believe in rebirth or I don't know, but sometimes it happens, sir. In our earlier birth, we have done so many these ones. It is in our subconscious mind or in our, I will tell in other things, Atma, Sanskara, everything will be there. No, it is
Right.
there emerged in that Atma, and
Mhm.
it may come because sometimes it happens, sir. 3 years or 4 years child will sing in such a way that
Yeah, yeah.
even though they are not from the musical background or their
Arts.
parents
Right,
are
right.
not
Got
singers.
you, got your point very
Uh,
clearly. I'll just like to respond this in a very immediate kind of a response of mine. So what I'm going to do is um, I'll just refer you to something. In the morning itself, I mentioned about DOPS, Department of or Division of Perceptual Studies of University of Virginia. They have been working extensively on this, and interestingly, they're finding some evidences which cannot be refuted, so of rebirth and all. But let's we don't know, still we are in the dark. So what we know is, yes, there is some maybe genetic, maybe whatever we call it, whatever you name it, atma or sanskaras, whatever. Yes, we have some qualities already, and we need to hone them. The whole idea is how we can make them better and better and better and progress. So it's all about, I always remind myself of that statement. There is no nobility in becoming better than somebody else. The true nobility is becoming better than our foremost self. So it's about how we can grow from where we are. And when we grow every day, let's say today I'm X, tomorrow I'm X plus delta X. Next day I'm adding one more delta X. So I'm constantly growing, and that's the journey of happiness. So moving in a direction of growth. That's what is the idea. Yes, we may be having some past advantage, but the advantage can only be used, or even some people not having much advantage can become exceptional. That's the idea with which we are moving forward. Yeah. Any further questions before we conclude? Anyone who would like to just share something, some aspects, some something or some queries? We are just a minute maybe, or in the chat box. Let me look at the chat box. Yeah, Sitakanji is saying I'm benefited. That was there. Sujaji, no more questions. So what we are going to do is we will plan for that. Of course, we'll plan for that workshop. And tomorrow again at 7 a.m. we are going to meet. Tomorrow also we are having the session for the consulting call. So specific problems, specific issues, we would look forward to have from you in the Google form that we have shared. So please share the details that you would like to get benefited, or you would like to share, so that we can help you with some recommendation to come out of any challenges. Oh, there is some raised hands. Let me look at. I can see Caesar G. I can see. Yeah, let me ask Caesar G to unmute. Just a moment. Yeah, I've asked you to. You can speak.
Good evening,
Very
Sandip,
good
and
evening.
good
Very
evening
good evening. Great to hear your voice. Thank you.
a lot of after long back, after
A
so many
long,
years,
yes, 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 absolutely.
so many
Lovely.
years we are talking again. Lovely talking with you.
Great.
Lovely person. Every time I meet, I get charged up, superly charged up by your presence.
Thank you.
Good evening to you, and good evening to all the members who are present here in this meeting. I'm just
Yeah.
uh, putting my WhatsApp name here.
Mm-hmm.
I've kept it. I've kept it with an intention.
Mm-hmm.
Not my this name Caesar, because presently I'm seeing this name is Caesar. The way we pronunciate it means
Mm-hmm.
seeing the jar or container. Presently I'm getting it. My meaning of my name.
Okay.
Previously I used to connect with these great emperors and all this,
Mm-hmm.
which are bullshit at this moment before
Mm-hmm.
my eyes, because those are our past memories. But presently I'm seeing Caesar as seeing the jar. This is a way of seeing only. That way I see my name.
Mm-hmm.
And my WhatsApp name is d hyphen I hyphen a at the rate of I don't exist.
Okay.
I will stop here.
Uh-huh.
And there also I am seeing something in me. Uh, I will not discuss because what I feel, so many of experience of life, it is not sound. Sound is very mere portion. The
Mm-hmm.
real existence lies in silence. So I just want to experience your comments or any member's comment on my way of seeing. That's all, nothing else.
Okay.
I want to experience other comments if they are having any
Okay.
about this, my way of seeing. That's all.
Right, right. So we're changing a paradigm of how you want to see yourself as. Is it that we're mentioning?
Yes, because every time I've seen myself in so many ways,
Mm-hmm.
finally I've started brought to this point in my mind that
Mm.
the way I see, the way I be.
True.
So let me see
Yeah. Yeah.
my
Yeah.
seeing.
Great. Yeah, that's something what you said. In fact, our paradigm, we call it how, what is our outlook in the Indian context. There is something called the Drishti Shrishti Vada. That means the way you see things, the creation also happens, or it obliges you in that fashion. So that's a
Right.
very powerful way to look at things. Even when we look at quantum, we say if you are not an observer to certain things, that doesn't manifest in the quantum realm. So it's always good to see in a way that you want to become what we want to see. So that's a better way of looking at things. But it takes a lot of challenging yourself,
Yeah,
how you
yeah.
see things. Yes, that's a good way of changing. It's a big way of changing. If you can change yourself by changing the paradigm, by changing the way, the what I mentioned just before some time, the cognitive reappraisal is about seeing with a different perspective. It's changing the perspective, changing the story that we have been traveling through in life. Yeah, that's a great way of changing. Yes.
I do not know whether it's great or small. I just want to change. I want to see my
See,
screen
see how
because my
always
age is
it's
up.
good to experiment. So you see that
Yes,
experimentation and see how it is reflecting on your life. It's you
right, sir.
have hypothesis. This is an hypothesis on which we are going, but let's see how it is actually manifesting in our life. That's more important. Yeah.
Right.
Going through a practice
Thank you.
we can only validate after seeing the outcome of it. Yes.
Right, right, right.
Thank you very much. And thanks everyone for your kind presence. And we have already exceeded the time. And in spite of that, all of us, we are there. Um, and yeah, big step. So thank you. God bless all of us. Let's pray for each other. And again, tomorrow at 7, we can connect. And all the new members who have joined, we are starting the morning session from morning Monday, 7 a.m. And no, that day it will change. It will be from 6 p.m. in the afternoon. We'll be having the onboarding session as well. We'll share the onboarding details and you have to join in. We'll be sharing the login and passwords also very soon by day after or by tomorrow night, evening. And please do join in for the onboarding session. We'll be announcing the onboarding session along with the link to join the session. Thank you very much, and God bless all of us, and have a great time. Good night.